episode 35 of Winning the Division. I am Ben Troupe. That is the host with the most, Ryan Smitty Smith. And today, I don't know how many draftees there are in the 2025 draft. But my next guest know if it's 1,500, 1,600, or 1,625. Founder of the Football Gameplan, football analyst for CBSSportsHQ. Man, the brother and I go way back. The great Emory Hunt. What's going on with you today, Emory?
What's up, guys, man? Ben, good seeing you. Ryan, good to meet you. Glad to be on the show, man.
Emory, I don't know if you do mock drafts. I don't know how you do, but I want to know, listen, you're a football analyst, but when it comes to the draft, you do the draft. When do you start scouting these players? Because it don't happen after January 1st. When does Emory Hunt start saying, all right, if he the first ranked running back or the 15th ranked running back, I got to know if he's draft eligible?
You know, that's a great question because we do so many prospects in the draft guide. You think I do this all year round, but my true draft process starts in December. Because I got to take people back to my fall schedule. I'm working as an analyst throughout the week, so you'll see me on CBS Sports HQ all throughout the week, in studio on Thursdays. Saturdays, I call college football games. So I'm either at a Monmouth game, a Morgan State game, or a Georgetown game. I'm always calling a football game, right? So in December, those regular season games are over with. So now I'm only in studio on Thursday. I may go in there on a Saturday or Sunday, depending on the NFL game, you know, how they start playing on the weekend on a Saturday. But most of them, I'm able to sit down, not travel a lot, and that's when I start knocking stuff out. I start with quarterbacks, and then I grade all that. Then I move on through positions. So quarterbacks first, then running backs, and so by the time January start, when I start traveling to all 8 All-Star games, I'm done with quarterbacks, and I'm done with essentially halfway done with running backs, and I'm grading while I'm on the road. So, I'm at all the All-Star games, and people probably think I'm, introvert, partly an introvert, but for the most part, when I'm on the road, like, I can't go hang out because I know I got to knock out so many of these prospects in the morning, and then that's through February. Get to the combine, grading while I'm in Indy, and then when I get back to the crib, it's from March until I'm done. 12 to 14-hour days, and then knocking it out. So really December, and I'm done around late March. So that's how my process goes.
I'm going to just get right into it with the draft here, Emory, and I've got a lot of questions, but I'll start I'm just going to give you a kind of off the top kind of generic question to kind of get you started here. You've got one pick in this draft this year to take your guy to a team of your choice. So which team are you picking for, and what guy are you taking? And I will disclaimer, bonus points if you don't say Travis Hunter.
Well, that's the one I'm going with, man.
Okay.
That's the guy. Because and here's the thing with Travis Hunter that I just find so unique. And I give you a second name and a second team just to play along. Yeah. But I would say for Travis Hunter, man, it was so fascinating. We've never seen someone do this like this. We've seen guys do it. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've seen Champ Bailey. We've seen Chris Gamble. We've seen guys do it, but not start on both sides of the ball. Like, he was the number one corner and the number one receiver. And I don't think he'll be the number one corner or number one receiver in the NFL. I think he could be the number 2 corner or number 3 corner, and definitely number 3 receiver, or the number 1 corner, number 3 receiver. So because he's so unique, man, and what's so fascinating about Travis Hunter when I watch him and just if projected to the pros, if he's your starting corner, a quarterback is not throwing his way because you're literally throwing to a receiver. Like, he gonna catch it. Like, so don't throw his way. So now you're working with half the field. And if you got 2, let's say he goes to the Giants, right? And let's say you got 2 decent corners on the outside, Paulson Adebo and Tay Banks, and you got a really good rookie, young second-year player, nickel guy, and Drew Phillips. Man, where are we going to put Travis Hunter? How about you put him back as a Roman, like, safety to go get the football on third down? Like, so he's so unique in that aspect. Offensively, he's your 3rd receiver. So now he's facing your 3rd best corner. He's going to bake him, or teams going to try to bracket him. Now you open things up more so for these receivers on the outside. So this is a guy that is truly unique, and opens up your entire offensive and defensive playbook. So that would be the one guy I would take universal to go anywhere.
Is there a fit that you like best?
Everywhere, because everybody needs a guy like Travis Hunter. Now, just to play along, and because he's not getting enough talk about, I would take Jalen Milroe and go to the Giants, because I want to see him specifically with Brian Daboll. Because here's why I think him and the Giants is a great situation. Because the Giants have a unique spot that a lot of teams wish they had, where you can take a quarterback of the future while still winning games. So by them going ahead and signing Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, you don't have to put a guy that probably needs a little bit more seasoning out there right away. So now you get a guy you could develop behind the scenes while still winning games and keeping your job. And then in year 2, once he knows the system, he's ready to go. And the reason why I also like Jalen Milroe is because if you like to be, I'm a college football Hall of Fame voter, right? So I've gone to the William V. Campbell ceremonies when it was out here in New York City. And I remember interviewing this running back from Carnegie Mellon named Sam Benger, who was fantastic tailback, like 1,700 yards. Like, dude was a monster, right? And so I'm interviewing, and he was like, man, I wish I could do it. I'm like, bro, you got a 4.5 in molecular biology. Go be great in life, dog. Like, there's the, you know what I'm saying? So having that kind of those majors and those GPAs, that's why you see schools go crazy when they got a semifinalist for the academic Heisman, right? So for this dude, Jalen Milroe, to win it as a starting quarterback at a Power 4 program, at a high leverage program in Bama, showing he's locking in on football and in the classroom. And on top of the fact, when we saw him first in 2022, we was like, man, I don't know if this dude gonna make it, man. Like, he was a legit liability. And then he got better in 2023, where he beat Carson Beck in the SEC title game, outplayed him. We saw the game-winning touchdown, dime throw to Isaiah Bond on 4th and forever, you know what I'm saying, at Auburn. And so we saw him in the postseason against Michigan, a better play call. They probably beat Michigan. And so knowing that this kid worked on his game, got better, has that explosive element, super smart, wants to be better, military kid, I'll bet on that 10 times out of 10.
I mean, you're giving Jalen Milroe a lot of love, as you should, because you giving the whole story from 2022 up until now. Mm-hmm. The Jalen Milroe was the starting quarterback for Alabama. He's not going to shock anybody where he goes because of where he played. Travis Hunter ain't going to shock nobody because of where he went and how he played. Who's the player, Emory, that you go, look, I don't know if he's going to go high, but whoever gets him is going to be getting that diamond in the rough?
I tell you this, and it's fascinating because I'm during the college football season, I'm always writing down names of guys I can't wait to study and break down, because I do cover a lot of FCS football. And so I'm always, I put out an FCS top 25 every week on CBSSports.com. So I'm always tapped in. I'm calling these games. I'm an FCS top 25 vote. This running back, Land Larison from UC Davis, is legit ice water. And I'm talking about somebody, he's 5'11", about 210, glides out there, man, and plays a lot like Christian McCaffrey. If you told me he could be a starting slot guy, I would believe you. And here's what's unique about Land Larison. This dude, the first couple of years, they had a great tailback, all-time great tailback at UC Davis that didn't get an opportunity in the NFL. So Land was behind him and was just a kickoff returner, right? Then when he got a chance to start last year, killed it. This year, almost had 1,000. I think he had like 1,300 or 1,400 yards rushing and 890-something receiving. So he got injured in the postseason with UC Davis as it was making a playoff run. So that's why we didn't see him at an all-star game or at the combine. But then he had his pro day, blistered 4.4, jumped, damn near 40 inches. You know what I'm saying? He 10 something crazy broad. So the dude got skills. And when you look at how he plays the position, it doesn't make sense how good this dude is. So he may not go high, but he's going to get on the team and he's going to be a beast.
So I'm kind of picking off that. It's funny. It's like you're reading my question over here. And he might fit in this question. What small school prospects, you might say UC Davis and the like, will be give me let's say 5 prospects that are going to be steals in the next 5 years in this draft that are from smaller schools like a UC Davis?
I would say there are a couple of guys, man, because going through the different smaller all-star games, you start to see guys pop up on a radar, and you're like, man, this dude can play. I know everybody jumped on the scene with Kendrick Paul of East Texas A&M, formerly Texas A&M Commerce, ran the 4.25 at his pro day, and, like flying, and he's 5'9", about $175, $180. But you go watch East Texas A&M's game against San Diego State this year, and he's legitimately making tackles at the line of scrimmage. He's flying up in the alley. Very good click and close guy. He's got good cover skills. And East Texas A&M has produced a lot of good players the last couple of seasons. There was a guy, I remember I got a lot of flack in the 2023 draft for where I had when the Chiefs took a defensive end in the first round. I wasn't a big fan of. I had a defensive end from East Texas A&M ranked higher than him. It was like, how could you have this no-name guy from this no-name school? This dude goes to Canada and was in the running for Rookie of the Year with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers because he had like 5.5 sacks within the first 3 games before he got hurt, right? So East Texas A&M always has some dudes, low-key, especially on defense. In fact, last year's draft class, they had Darren Williams' son. Remember him? Denver Broncos corner, passed away. He was an outstanding corner. His son was a great corner at East Texas A&M. So Paul can play. That's one dude. And the 4.25 is going to help him out. Then you look at someone, we talked about Land Larison, obviously. Yep. I'll throw this guy's name out here because he's one of those type of guys too. Quarterback Zach Zabrowski. If the last name sounds familiar, his dad is the OC at Kansas, but Zach played at Central Missouri. And what's great about Zach is that he was a terrific quarterback, obviously, but he won the Harlan Hill Trophy twice. That's the Division II Heisman Trophy.
Yeah,
so he won that twice. And so he can play, and does a good job distributing the football. Real good passer. He's going to end up on the NFL roster, I believe. And in terms of defensive players, Hector Johnson out of Endicott. It's a Division III program up in Massachusetts. He primarily was a hand in the dirt rush in, but he's only like 6 feet 235, so he's gonna have to play off ball linebacker.
He's like an Elvis Dumerville type.
Exactly. So they're gonna have him off the ball, and his tape doesn't make sense because he's like blowing these dudes up, right? But he tore it up during the Patriots local pro day. And so that's another guy that's going to get a lot of buzz coming in. I give you another one. And I saw him and I saw this in real time. I saw this at the FCS Bowl, which is a smaller all-star game. That's the first one out the gate in December in Daytona. He starred there, he blew up there. Then he got a call up to the Tropical Bowl where he's playing against FBS in FCS competition. His name is Arnold Young, defensive lineman from Montclair State out here in New Jersey, where Sam Mills played.
That's right. I was going to say, I know where that's from. I'm a Panthers fan.
Oh, there you go. So it's a Division III program here. And I remember he was killing these guys at the FCS Bowl, right? So much so the next day, I'm sitting in the press box because it started to like, it was real cold. Like it was weirdly cold in Daytona in December when I got down there, right? And so I'm sitting in the press box the next day, and I see these 2 scouts from NFL teams watching his highlight tape from the season, and it made no sense how you expect a dude from Division III to dominate. This dude legit was just, it was like, all right, this dude is a man amongst boys. But he balled out in both all-star games, which was what you wanted to see. And another Division III kid has a great story. I was at the College Gridiron Showcase in Texas in January, and this is Mitchell Van Voren. I put a tweet out there where I was like, this is the beauty of the all-star game where, you hear guys all the time that say, I should be playing D1, I should be playing this. Well, in the all-star game, you got a chance. And it was a clip of him, Division III kid versus a kid from Nevada. But it was mostly about Division III versus FBS. It wasn't about the two matchups, but he clearly won the matchup. Like, he was a fluid tight end, about 6'4", 255. And I was like, oh man, fluid for someone 6'4", 250. I can't wait to break his tape down. Then I go watch his tape. He only had 1 year of football at St. Norbert, had 500 yards and 10 touchdowns. Now, the reason why he only had 1 year was because he spent the previous 4 years as an all Big East 400-meter hurdler at Marquette. So can you imagine somebody walking out there and like, dog, the shot put over there, dog, what you doing out here? And this dude on the same track as you running hurdles, like crazy. So those are some guys to keep an eye on.
Awesome.
I mean, you talking about these All-Star games. You mentioned, you went to 8 All-Star games. For the listener who don't understand, we get, you got the combine. That's going to be the top, 300 players. Right. However many they're gonna talk about the importance of All-Star games, though, Emory, because like you mentioned, if I'm an FCS guy and I go, look, yes, I got a boulder on my shoulder. I get it. I'm not on TV every week. And by the time, and now with you got national TV, then you got these networks that's going to play the games all week leading up to the next week. Talk about the importance of All-Star games, and when you get a FCS player who you go, look, man, they here now. They standing right there. What stands out the most for you? Because when we hear All-Star games, people start saying, you talking about the Hula Bowl? Like you mentioned, it's 8 of them. You talking about you in Daytona, you in Texas. What stands out the most to you, Emory, when you at these All-Star games that make you go, dude, like, I see the importance of the All-Star game, and I see how it gives a guy that hasn't had exposure for 4 or 5 years all the exposure he's going to get, for a week and maybe a game.
Great question, because at the end of the day, there's multi-layered reasons why the value of the All-Star game is important to the small school prospect, number one, first and foremost. And just to give people full disclosure, okay, you have the Tropical Bowls. The FCS Bowl starts in December. That's the first one out the gate. Truly, the first one out the gate is actually right after the draft. It's in Canada. It's called the U Sports, which is their NCAA East-West Bowl. I've gone multiple years. I've gone the last 4 years. Last year was in Waterloo. That's where I first saw Taylor Elgersma, the quarterback from Wilfrid Laurier, who ended up coming down to the States this January and playing in 3 All-Star games, College Gridiron Showcase, Tropical Bowl. Then we saw him play at the Senior Bowl. So you got the U Sports East-West Bowl in May. Then you got the FCS Bowl in Daytona Beach in December. That's usually FCS, D2, D3, NAIA guys. And then you have the College Gridiron Showcase, which is 2 or 3 days in Fort Worth, Texas, from like January 6th to the 8th. And then you have the Hula Bowl, which is in Orlando. Then you have the Tropical Bowl, which is some guys get called up from the FCS Bowl, go to the Tropical Bowl. But the Tropical Bowl is mostly FBS guys and some FCS guys. And then you have, the East-West Shrine Game. Then you have the Senior Bowl. And then in February, right before the Combine, you have the HBCU Legacy Bowl. So those are all the All-Star games. But the reason why they have value is we know this. We know the rosters on every college football team lie. So on a roster, you could be like 6'4", 260. You see the dude like, dog, you're not 6'4", dog. Like, and you're not 260. Or if you're 260, you're a bad built 260 and not a good built 260, right? So it's a great way to see body types. So if you're a small school guy, and let's say you're the kid from Montclair State, and Montclair State has you listed as 6'4", 300. Like, I already know going in, you're probably not 6'4", right? But when you get down to the All-Star games, you get the official pro scouts height measurement. So you get a true height and a true weight on these guys. Number one, you get to see body types. So is it a, especially, and this is where covering the NFL and going to the, Giants training camp and preseason, all that stuff like that, and being out there all summer, you see body types, you see pro body types, you see what works in the NFL, right? And so you see how guys are built and whether or not they have a chance. Because a lot of times these scouts are scratching you off if you just don't look the part. You know what I'm saying? Because athletically, you got to be able to be an NFL type athlete, and your body type tells you a lot about what type of work you put in during your career. How far are you away from being on that NFL athleticism mark. So it's good to see body types. And the biggest question that we have about small school players that we see dominate on film, man, I wonder if I'm watching him dominate guys that he shouldn't be playing, or something that translate, right? So now you get the true 1-to-1. I want to see this receiver who I've seen, have 1,200-yard seasons at University of Montana go up against this cornerback from Iowa State. So now I get to see how good he is, how fast he is, how nuanced his routes are, and if all of that translates to the pro level. So that's why the All-Star games for the small school player gives you a true 1-to-1, because watching FBS players go up against FBS players on film, you get a good gauge on, though that's a true 1-to-1. But the small school guys, you really got to see them up against guys that are, that have the access to better weight training, nutritional program, better bodies, better athletes. Can they translate? Can they fit in? Can they stand out? And that's why it's valuable for the small school player to go to these all-star games.
Yeah. Well, as an aside, I actually just came from the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta a few weekends back, so I got to see that, and so brush up on my knowledge on Division II, Division III, and all the bowl games and all the. So you're speaking my language now, but I couldn't say like 2 weekends ago I knew a lot of some of those bowls. So it's good to finally kind of be in the know there and kind of be familiar with those. So it's always good to refresh my memory on those. Speaking of small schools. We all know about the news over the weekend, or actually really it was today, about Nico Iamaleava with Tennessee. So with that said, with the increase of NIL, with the increase of the portal and everything else like that, do you think FCS schools are going to struggle to retain and develop talent as players seek more money elsewhere? And then kind of same thing with group of 5 players going to the Power 5 level as well. What do you see happening there?
It's tough because if you notice, a lot of times we're always looking around let's say the bigger all-star games, at the senior and shrine bowls, and, more so those two, because you're like, man, I want to see the small school guy compete. But a lot of the small school guys that are upper echelon talent tend to transfer up now. And so this draft class, I found myself with less FCS prospects that are like, oh, I can't wait to talk about this. Nobody's talking about this guy. Well, this guy, you see, he's the third receiver or third DB at South Carolina. Well, yeah, he was at Wofford. You know what I'm saying? So you lose some of that because guys are not standing out. I've always said it's best to be the big fish in the small pond, because you want to wait until you get to the league for them to find out if you can't play. You don't want them to find it out before you get drafted. And going up to a level of competition, they'll find it out. Oh, he can't even start. So see, boom, scratch you off, right? So you're going to wait. I'm going to dominate here, and I'm going to make you draft me or make you sign me to see if I can or can't play. By that time, I done got to check. So you could see how it's tough. I think what could happen and what should happen. I know everybody's wants to get paid, rightfully so, justifiably so. And until we know exactly what people are getting paid, a lot of players are transferring, chasing these things, and we've now known that a lot of people are not even getting paid. A lot of guys are getting promised stuff and they're not getting it. So I think what happens probably dates back to youth and what you see. What you see as a youth is what you aspire to be. If we always saw, think about this, Ben, you and I are around the same age. Well, I might be a little bit older. When we grew up, all we saw on TV was Florida State, Notre Dame, and at night, whatever, whack game was on, whether it was BYU or San Diego State, right? So that's all, man, I want to go. And when we was getting recruited, it was that carrot that dangle, like, get to play on TV every Saturday. Y'all was on ABC, and it was like, man, like, I want to play on TV. Now everybody's on TV, so you can't dangle that carrot no more. Everybody's on some sort of streaming device. But also the indirect thing was, so we saw TV and we saw what schools were on TV, and we saw that constantly, right? So that image is there. We're playing these video games, and we're playing with these teams that we see on TV. So it's the connection, right? These games should have all the schools on it.
Yes.
So if you're playing a video game, I should be able to play with Montclair State. So now I'm getting familiar. And so now it's not foreign to me, and I don't look at it as a step down if I'm getting recruited by Montclair State and my teammates getting recruited by Florida State. I'm like, oh, I play with these guys on the game. I'm familiar with them. And in human nature, what kids do when they get these games with guys who they quickly go get the worst team and say, I'm going to build them up. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like it's uncommon, but I think that's what has to happen. We got to start young with getting people comfortable with talking about FCS ball in the same conversation we're talking about FBS. D2 is the same conversation we talk about FCS, and D3 as we talk about D2. If we make it look all the same and make it talk like it's big time, going to college and playing ball no matter where you play is big time. You know what I'm saying? It makes it easier for guys to say, well, I'm at where I'm supposed to be at, and I'm comfortable where I am. So I'm going to stay here and thrive. Because if we only show them this, they're going to only think this is where I have to go to be successful, when that's not the case. That's a long-winded way of saying we got to start to include everybody to make it seem like where you are is where you're supposed to be. It's a great place to be. Because I've seen it happen. My Raging Cajuns, right? Guys that may go in the first round this year. Trey Amos started out as a Raging Cajun, transferred out, went to Alabama, and now transferred to Ole Miss, and now going to be a first-round pick. A couple years ago, Osiris Torrance transferred out of Louisiana, goes to Florida.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Gets drafted.
Was probably the best guard in the country with the Rage. But you just said something, though, Emory, not to cut you off. You just said something. It's like when I think about NIL, when I think about it, Nico, out of everybody in NIL, Nico is the only one ever held out. So we're talking about one guy out of everybody. One, right? But it's because of where he went and the position he played. He played quarterback, Tennessee. They go to the college football playoff. Nico held out. Tell me if I'm wrong, if I'm off base. I believe listen, we have children. So people start saying, hey, man, every time I see your son, he runs just like you. He plays just like you. Well, yeah, I mean, he come from me. Everything you see a player do, don't he look like a coach? That's what coaches do. Coaches got leverage, right, in a good spot. I'm finna use it, get more money. They call it lateral moves when they come to coaches. It's a lateral. I give you the perfect example. Lincoln Riley. Nothing wrong with OU. Nothing. I got Caleb Williams, right? No, I'm going to go to USC. Why? Because I don't think I'm going to win it all at Oklahoma, and it's too much pressure here. I could go to USC and be really, really good, and it ain't the same pressure. Well, that's Lincoln Riley. No, coaches teach players every single thing they know. Nico got almost $9 million before out of high school. You think a California kid know what Tennessee is? No. A California kid might know what Vegas is. He'll know what Texas is because it's big. You know how I know? When Daniels came from Georgia and came from USC and he went to Georgia, he said, oh man, I can't wait to go to Atlanta. He has no clue Georgia's in Athens, right? Because he don't know. So I say to this, if I'm an 18-year-old, 17-year-old youngin' and I managed to get $9 million just to go, I haven't done anything. You don't think Coach Hyper going to get an extension because they went to the college football playoff? Yeah, they went to the college football. And I'm not mad at Coach Hyper, but what I'm saying is we don't know Coach Hyper because he Coach Hyper. We know him because, hey, man, wait a minute. Who do you coach has more to do that you coach. You don't think that Lincoln Riley used the fact that he had Baker Mayfield, number 1 overall pick Heisman, Kyler Murray, number 1 overall pick Heisman, Jalen Hurts. Oh, man, Heisman runner-up. I'm going to use this as the last. I get Caleb and go, now's the time to move. You know why? Because he knew OU was going to he knew OU was going to the SEC. I don't want that. I don't want to deal with the Big 10 or Big 12, let alone. So I say that to say, when you say something as simple as put them all on the game, because you know what that's going to do? That's going to force something like Fanatics to say, wait a minute, they can't be on the game and y'all don't sell their merch. Because that's the new barometer. The new barometer is who sells y'all merch, Fanatics. I remember when they had team stores, merchandise. Then people couldn't handle that workload, dude. This
Right.
stuff is crazy. So you give it to a Fanatics, now they got everybody. I think what you just said is brilliant because if my team is on the game, that's all legitimate. That's all legitimacy you need. You don't need. Look, man, I'm going to because people think that fans in FBS are loyal. No. FCS,
Right.
they ain't allowed to have not sold out. Listen. I'm from Georgia. I grew up 30 minutes from Georgia Southern. So for me, when people say who the best running back in college ever come through Georgia, it ain't Herschel. It's Adrian Peterson. The first.
The first one, right? Triple option one, right?
And people say Adrian Peterson, check the stats in the postseason. Don't even look at what he did. Too natural. So for me, I hope. Hey, listen. If y'all listening, NIL people, decision makers, NCAA, put them on the game. And you think you because to me, I agree. Some of the best players ever came through the game. FCS. I mean. South Carolina State got more Hall of Famers. No, I'm sorry.
Look, you're right. South Carolina State got more Hall of Famers.
South Carolina State, listen, got more Hall of Famers than Clemson and South Carolina combined. Clemson only got one. His name was Brian Dawkins. Anyway, I'm just saying. Go ahead.
No, imagine because think about this. The part I was I have jokingly said this because people only see and talk about what they see, right? But I was like, imagine if the Ivy League decided to toss some of that colonial money around and get serious about football, right? Game over. Because they got that original 13 colonies money, right? Imagine if they decide as the ancient eight, like, you know what? We locked in now. Who gonna choose between if it came down, you can go to Harvard or you can go to Alabama. You're going to Harvard. You know what I'm saying? And this is to show you that if you got the resources, you can make it happen. These schools a lot of times have, like, the University of Chicago was a member of the Big Ten. First Heisman Trophy winner, Jay Behringer, won the Heisman coming out of the University of Chicago. The University of Chicago backed out of the Big Ten in like the early 1940s, like, nah, football getting too big. We want to step back because we see it going down the wrong path, which we are today, right? But this is the University of Chicago, one of the best universities in the country. What the endowment is crazy. If they decide, or schools like this decide, you know what, we're playing big time ball, or we're playing ball, or any one of these schools that the smaller private university, the money is there. And now with the NCAA, the video game being able to pay the players, we know you got it. You're going to imagine if you're paying these players whatever the fee is or whatever you're paying the stipend, imagine how many you're going to sell. Imagine how many NCAA games you sell in North Dakota. You know what I'm saying? Or just if you put those teams on the game. State of Minnesota only got one FBS program. The University of Minnesota is a bunch of D2s after that. Imagine how many games you'd sell there. So you're going to make that money back, and that's probably enough NIL money to keep kids from transferring up. And that's how you can cultivate, develop, and increase the small college talent pipeline to where they can stop going, try to chase these ghosts at FBS, but stay where they at, ball out, and get drafted or find a way to have success.
Last two from me, as we I know we're short on time with you. I'll make these quick. One, for my fellow Panther content creators out there like myself, I have to ask this one. I've seen a lot of people's opinions, and Ben knows, as a Panthers fan, I am a Mason Graham. I enjoy him so much, but I know he's probably going to be off the board. So I'm going to ask you this. Panthers have done a lot in free agency with their defense. Obviously, some people think they need to get Bryce a true wide receiver one. So I ask you this simple question. If Jalen Walker, who's been mocked to the Panthers a lot, is on the board, there's rumors he might go in the top 4 to the Patriots. We'll see. And Ted McMillan from Arizona is on the board at 8 as well. Do the Panthers go offense and give Bryce a true wide receiver one? Or do they go someone like Jalen Walker out of Georgia and get that dog on defense to kind of replace Shaq Thompson, who was our kind of Luke Kuechly and Thomas Davis, from back in the day. In your opinion, where do you see the Panthers going at 8 if those two guys are still on the board?
Watching how the Panthers played last year when Bryce got hot toward the back end, Jalen Walker doesn't catch that football against the Eagles on a goal line. You know who catch that football? Ted McMillan. You know what I'm saying? So I would go and give him Ted McMillan because we've reached a part of the draft cycle where, and Jalen Walker's a good player. He's my number one outside linebacker because I think he can play all three backer spots, weak side, strong side, and middle, right? I don't think he's a true edge rusher. I think he's more of an off-ball guy who can blitz, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But Ted McMillan is someone who is a bona fide X. And to me, that's the guy that, helps a Bryce Young out. Great catch radius, elite level hands, good athleticism. And what's crazy about it, we reached a draft cycle where in the summer, all you heard and saw was Ted McMillan one-handed catches, right? Now we're at the point where people don't think he can play ball. Like, so that's the only part of the draft process I hate when people start.
Where does that come from? Is it just simply fatigue? Like, where does that come from?
Fatigue and stupidity in the combine. Because Ted McMillan is one example. Shedeur Sanders is another example. If Jackson Dart had Shedeur Sanders tape, they'd say Jackson Dart need to go number 0 overall. Get the contract. He's already signed. The draft start at number 2. But because they don't like Coach Prime, they take it out on Shedeur Sanders when his tape is what they always talk about. You got to have a quarterback that plays from the pocket, that has the accuracy, has touch. Here's that example, and they don't like him, right? Because they've talked about him for a full season, right? Same with Ted McMillan. They don't like him. They do this every year with a prospect that is an easy layup evaluation. Someone that's 6'5" that can play all 3 receiver spots, that can go win vertical down the field, that can catch and run. He's not a 4-4 guy, but man, he catches a slant or a little small square in, and he's taking it to the house. Like, he's able to weave his way through traffic. So you watch guys like that, and you think about what the Panthers truly need: threats, guys that you fear. With the way offenses play, I'm always going to side toward playmakers. And if I had the choice between those two, I think Ted McMillan is more of a playmaker than Jalen Walker.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I wouldn't hate it, to be quite honest. A defensive guy that I really like is the guy from Boston College, Donovan Izaraku. I really enjoy him, but I don't think he's going to be there in the second round. I think he's going to be going in the first round. That's a guy I really enjoy.
When I think about Ted, I think of one name: Drake London. Remember all that stuff they said about Drake London?
Same thing.
They keep on showing the same play. Keep on showing the same play. Keep on showing the same play. You see what he did last year with, my cousin Kirk, and then they finally gave him, Michael Penix. But, Emory, before we let you out of here, man, the thing about it is, the draft is the most watched spectacle that outside of playing the game we're gonna see in football.
Mm-hmm.
What's gonna be our takeaway from this draft? We know it's gonna be top heavy in them top 10. We know it's gonna be Abdul Carter. It's gonna be Graham. It's gonna be Shedeur. It's gonna be Cam Moore. We get it. But when we walk away from this draft, what are we all gonna be? Is it gonna be trades? Is it gonna be how many running backs got taken? What do you think is gonna be the walk away from this draft?
I think that's it right there. The amount of running backs that we're gonna see taken. When you think about this class of running backs, it reminds me of the 2017 class that had Leonard Fournette, Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Samaje Perine, Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara, Jamal Williams, Tariq Cohen. Like, think about that, man. Aaron Jones. That's crazy, right? This back class reminds me of that. And so we're going to see guys that go well into the 7th round that you're like, damn, that was a really good pick. Like, that's a really good back. Like, he could end up starting. You know what I'm saying? And so I just feel like the back class is as deep as 2017. And so we're going to take away that. I would also think we'll walk away saying, man, here's my idealistic thing. And maybe I'm a little too Pollyanna on this, but I just truly feel this way, that we'll walk away from the draft talking about the amount of talent that was drafted, but also the amount of talent that was not drafted. And because of that, and now we're in week 4 of the UFL season, people will start to see the value of, man, we need another league, because there's so much talent out there that there's not enough spots on the NFL side of things for these guys to play in. And because there is a gap, Ben, there's more than any of us. There's a gap between pro and college that some guys need to get their feet wet before they go to the pros. Like, what I'm saying? Some guys are able to make the jump from college to the pros and be okay. But there is a small space, maybe like a 2-year window for guys to, hey, man, you got to get acclimated to what pro ball is about. You know what I'm saying? And so I do feel like we'll walk away saying, you know what? We need to invest more in this UFL thing, maybe expand it out to 8 more teams to where we can give these guys that are just on the cusp a chance to not only get better and put out pro tape, but also another avenue. And I tweeted this out half jokingly Saturday with the Nico stuff that broke. I'm like, listen, because I don't know how many bridges he burned with this whole scenario. So if I'm the UFL, I'm reaching out to Gage like, hey man, won't you come play over here?
Especially if you made your money already.
You made your money already, and you can still get endorsements and get drafted from here. We saw this already. We saw Kenny Robinson go from West Virginia and
to the Panthers
and went to the St. Louis Battlehawks, played there and got drafted from there. So it's a possibility, especially if you're a quarterback, they're going to follow you regardless. You get to put out, hey, here's me versus pro players. And so I think we'll walk away with that takeaway. Like, one, it's a great class for running backs, but also, man, we need more football, and these guys need to get out here on these teams and get production. Because I wrote this article back in 2016 talking about how I would design NFL minor league. I was like, man, if you bring in 90 to camp, I said there's a room for a 32-team minor league system. If we're bringing 90 players to camp and you're cutting 45, that 45 you just cut, that's your minor league team right there. You can, if you like them enough to bring them in, and you have to release them, keep them in your program instead of the New York Giants. You call them the Staten Island Giants, and you play. You know what I'm saying? But you that way you have more coaches coaching the system, players that can call up now that know your system. So you know what I'm saying? They're in football shape. They know the system, and these NFL teams got they got in-house production. You can stream the games on that team's website. Maybe you play them on a Wednesday or whatnot, or a Tuesday, but at least you have guys that know your system ready to go, and you are able to keep these guys. I ask these coaches all the time during training camp, how do you? He said, man, I always have to like, how do you manage to coaching all of these guys, knowing you gotta go through cuts and release? He's like, man, I wish I can keep all these guys, because you start working with someone, and it's like, man, I know we can't keep 6 quarterbacks, but man, I could see the breakthrough happening with this guy, but we need to keep 6 offensive linemen, but we can't keep this dude. Man, so it's just a numbers game. It's not like you're not a good football player, so there's room for these things to develop and grow.
As I get you out the door, as this draft wraps up, do you have any time off? Do you what's for 2026? Have you started that class already? And if so, is there just kind of one player for what you should keep an eye on for next year in 2026?
Haven't started 2026 yet. Once the draft is over, because right now I'm still covering UFL. So the draft ends. Now I'll just expand my UFL coverage and start to cover CFL too, which kicks off 4th of July weekend.
Pretty soon, yeah.
Yep. So I'm always locked in with football. But the one guy that I know everybody always says next year's class is always better or whatnot, quarterback-wise. The guys they talk about probably ain't going to be at the top anyway, right? Because if they were at the top, they would have came out this year. But I will say this. The one guy nobody's talking about, I think is going to take a next step forward, is Taylor Green out of Arkansas. And maybe it's just because he wears number 10. I'm like, man, he kind of looked like Vince Young. But he also kind of looked like Randall Cunningham out there. So if he can just flatline his play and play consistent from week to week, game to game, drive to drive, I think that's the number one quarterback, because he has the athleticism, has the insane ability to make any kind of throw, but it's the consistency. It's not, you don't want to see this, you want to see that. Just flat line across. But that's the one I'm excited to see how he progresses this season.
I'm glad you didn't mention a guy at Texas named Manning, I think, because I am not convinced. I'm not convinced he will be in the 2026.
They're going to miss viewers more than they know. You don't got to like him. But but if viewers don't get hurt, they beat Alabama 2 years in a row.
Thank you.
They were college football playoff finalists 2 years in a row. Sometimes it ain't going to be good enough. Sometimes it ain't going to be good. I get it.
Knowing Arch and how he was raised, I'm not convinced he's going to be in the 2026 draft. I think it might be 2027.
My thing is like when people say, "Oh, Archer was in this class, he beat." I'm like, bro, he only threw like 95 passes against UL San Antonio and UT Mesquite. Like he didn't play nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes, I mean, and you see how fast he was running. Well, how many quarterbacks gonna be that way? He running against wide open space. He did the Daniel Jones and didn't fall. He didn't fall. And hey man, that's usually how it go. If you wide open, I got to pick him up and put him down. I might run faster than I've ever ran before because no one wants to get caught getting ran down, no matter who it is. But he is the founder of, the football game plan, football analyst for CBS Sports HQ. 8 All-Star games. He covers the UFL, the CFL, right? 8 All-Star games, making sure, listen, you said something though. You got to look the part first. People be saying, why I got to walk around with a box of briefs on? Why they saying how long my arms are, the size of my fingers, what you mean how big my hand size is? Because we NFL, we want to know every single thing about you, even though we already know. They already know. They've already confirmed. They know what your favorite color is, where you like to hang out at. If don't nobody, they know. But he is the great Emory Hunt. And for those of you who think, I want to do this for a living, we're going to have Emory back and say, listen, I'm not telling you this ain't for you, but it ain't for everybody because you think you want to do it. And sometimes you like, dang, I forgot I had this in my house. I ain't been here so long, man. Emory, man, we appreciate you taking the time, man. People like yourself make it so. I hope people listen to you, what you said about the game. And that's just the start. But if it's either college football or it's not. Because all that FBS, FCS, G5, the best running back in the country, he was P5, right? Oh, that's right. He was G5. And the only reason why he didn't win it, because of a guy named Travis. Because he would have won it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying. Hey, Emory, man, we appreciate you taking the time today, McDonough. Appreciate it.
I appreciate y'all bringing me on, man. This was a pleasure, man. Thanks for allowing me to come in and talk shop with y'all.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You can just click off there. You can just click off right there.
Okay.
What's that leaves to? Yeah, you good.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Appreciate it, Emory.
Right. Thanks, Emory. That was the great Emory Hunt, draft analyst, guru, and a bunch of things, man of many talents. Ben, that was a great get by you. And,
listen, I go way back with Emory. I don't know if Emory was with CBS when I first started working with him, but when I did, I was on ESPN Radio at the time, and Emory was a talent back then. I used to tell him, I said, man, just keep doing, because when you quote work for ESPN Radio, people assume that my pedigree or my status at that point was higher than his. I said, no, man. Listen, to be able to break down the draft is a skill. To be able to write is a skill. And then when you hear how much travel, I didn't even know it was 8 All-Star games. I didn't know they started in December. From Daytona to Orlando I just know that, just like you, Smitty, you being an announcer, that stuff, certain things, man, require a certain level of skill. There are certain things that even journalism school or mentors can't teach you because you're the only one there now. You're the only one in the press box. You're the only one talking to the coaches and the players and the assistant coaches. But he broke down, I think when I asked him before he came, he said 16 or 15 or 1,600 eligible. Listen, 15 or 1,600 eligible players. That's just seniors and juniors that left early. So when people start saying how precious is the NFL, man, it is precious. And I'm not going to take nothing away from it, but having another league is important. Having that minor league, because baseball doesn't. What you talking about? Them grassroots type. At least you want to make sure you have him. But shout out to Emory Hunt, man. I mean, he's one of those ones that understand that diamond in the rough. And yes, Smitty, y'all are going to get another running back. Not because you need one, but because you can never have enough. And y'all rookie coming off those injuries, they got to have, I got to have a safety valve, man. And it's to push him. He's going to end up being the backup, I
see a fifth, sixth round pick for a running back for sure.
Oh yeah. But you can get a fifth. You can get a fifth, sixth round pick with second round, maybe low, late first round talent. Because these running backs this year, man, they nasty. They nasty good.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and get into the headlines from this week as we head out the door, like we do. I'll just start with Cam Ward, one of 17 invites set to attend the NFL draft. No Shedeur Sanders, but among them, Travis Hunter, Ted Millen from Arizona, Matthew Golden from Texas, Penn State defensive end Abdul Carter, Boise running back Ashton Jeanty, LSU offensive tackle Will Campbell, Michigan defensive tackle Mason Graham. Alabama leads the way with 4 players, Jalen Miro, quarterback, guard Tyler Booker, linebacker Jihad Campbell, Georgia safety Malachi Starks, defensive end Micah Williams, Michigan's Will Johnson as well. And then finally, defensive end Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M, and Ohio State offensive tackle Josh Simmons.
Star-studded. I knew that Travis Hunter was going to be there. I knew that Cam Ward was going to be there.
Oh, I'm sorry. And Jackson Dart from Ole Miss.
Jackson Dart might be the wild card. They say that he might creep into the first round because you can never have enough good quarterback play. I don't know if the style of offense that he plays under Lane Kiffin and company is going to translate well to the NFL because they didn't really run a pro system. Those route combinations wasn't really something he's going to see a lot, but you can't deny the talent that the young man has. I knew that Travis Hunter wanted to have his moment. Cam Ward, listen, you only get drafted once, and if you're going to be the potential number 1 overall pick, I want to be there to see Roger Goodell to shake his hand. Shedeur Sanders is the Sanders. They're going to make it all about that brand and what they do. Plus, Shedeur is not in a position, he's not going to put himself in a position to slide for the world to see. Now, if I'm at home, which is going to have a camera there, I can kind of control the setting and the mood. No, I mean, the draft is the greatest spectacle there is when it comes to drafts of pro level sports. So as much as we don't know when it comes to basketball, we don't know who getting drafted no more because you got such international talent. I don't know when they do the MLB draft. I don't even know if that's televised. I mean, MLB, I just don't. And NHL, I mean, you can catch NHL games on the Golf Channel. That is not a lie, by the way. You can literally catch NHL. And shout out to Ovechkin, by the way. I know I'm not but I know he passed.
Yep, that was big for the hockey world for sure. Very big.
Listen, I thought that Wayne Gretzky's gold record was untouchable. Like Cal Ripken Jr. Like those type of. I don't think you could touch that type of stuff. But shout out to Ovechkin, man. He did it alone. And sorry, Sidney Crosby. It used to be Sidney. Is it Ovechkin? It's Ovechkin. I'm sorry, it just is. So.
Shout out to Ken Griffey Jr. in the baseball world. He is now a credentialed photographer at the Masters this past week. And I don't know if you, a lot of people may not know that, but saw that, and I think that's just fascinating.
Hey, well, number one, he's Ken Griffey Jr. And just imagine if you finally got credentialed media at the Masters, and you look to left like that's freaking Ken Griffey Jr. Hey, listen, I know this is an NFL podcast. Shout out to Rory. He fought. Grand Slam, won the Masters, because Rory, the 13th, when you win the award, I'm like, oh, Rory about to Rory. But shout out to Rory, for winning the Masters.
All right, let's get through some of these here. Michael Parsons present as Cowboys get to work in their offseason mode. Patrick Peterson retires with the Arizona Cardinals, says where his legacy is. Bears make Kyler Gordon highest paid slot corner in the NFL, and Derek Carr's 2025 season in status due to a shoulder injury.
Shout out to Patrick Peterson, P2. I mean, incredible coming out of LSU, 5th overall pick, was a little shutdown corner when he was in Arizona. Big time player. I know you
first game against Cam Newton and Steve Smith, but okay.
Oh yeah, that's a little bit different. First game for Cam Newton, 400. I think back-to-back 400-yard games his rookie year.
Yes.
The Derek Carr situation is kind of no one's really scared. It's something we talked about earlier. Smitty, no one's scared of a healthy Derek Carr, let alone
But do you really think though it's coming out 2 weeks before the draft?
I think they might be getting ready to make a move because they're trying to put it out there early. I could be wrong, right? I could be wrong. But Kellen Moore is saying, dude, I finally get a head coach job, and I mean Derek Carr is my starter. We'll look. It's the Aints. I'm sorry, I'm not giving y'all no love on here. No one's scared of y'all. And if we're ranking quarterbacks from 1 to 4, I know who number 1 is. Sometimes, and I think Bryce Young is number 2. Baker Mayfield number 1 with Penix 3. Derek Carr is number 4, even if he has a full season last year. I just don't understand. Derek Carr is good, not great. Derek Carr is a sandwich with no condiments on it. It's all right. Y'all eat like this. Y'all ain't got no mayo or nothing. Nope, no lettuce, tomato. I'm just saying. Derek Carr, it's a slow news day. We're talking about Derek Carr and injuries. Come on, man. Derek Carr had Devontae Adams. He had Darren Waller. He had everybody. Josh Jacobs. And what did he do with the Raiders? Nothing. So, yeah.
Dak says his hamstring is improving. Could play right now if he had to. Bears make Kyler Gordon highest paid slot cornerback in the NFL. And then Raiders, Max Crosby, defensive end, takes assistant general manager role with his alma mater, Eastern Michigan University.
And shout out Dak Prescott. Listen, man, just play when it's time to play. I can play right now. No, you could not. Just get healthy. We get it. Gordon, congratulations on being highest paid slot corner. I think that's going to pave the way for other slot corners because that's where the ball is going. And for people thinking, why is the slot corner position so important? I give you Charles Woodson. When he won defensive MVP and won the Super Bowl with the Green Bay Packers, he was playing in the slot. That's how great he played in the slot. He won defensive MVP. Shout out to Max Crosby. I mean, he seems to be a really, really good guy. I know he donates a lot of money to his alma mater. I know he does a lot. I know he's big on, with his sobriety. I know he's like the face of it. So shout out to him. And shout out to, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say, Steph Curry. I want to say he's like the GM for his school.
Yes, co-GM, I think, with David.
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Trey Young. I want to say he's for OU. Basically, you got a whole bunch of millionaires. So basically, you got a whole bunch of millionaires that you don't have to pay to do it. It's like a complimentary role for them. So shout out to all those guys doing it. So incredible, like that.
Some sad news to report. Former LSU receiver Kyron Lacey died over the weekend.
Yeah, the Kyron Lacey situation is going to be one that touches me in a different way because as I read most of the reports, obviously it ended up that it was a suicide. This was more. I'm not condoning what he was doing when running from the cops. As it was the situation that happened to where he was in a wreck. Allegedly, and he killed somebody in the wreck and fled the scene. And because of the reports, they said that there was a lot of stress on him because they said, look, man, the investigation never came out and they was getting ready to go to court for it. I'm going to say this. I do not know the young man. I'm not going to act as if I knew the young man, but I will say that the pressures of high-profile athletes is real. That doesn't mean that they have to find a way to deal with it, compartmentalize it. Too much is given, much is required. And nobody, when they out there on the road that's driving recklessly, think they're going to get into any type of wreck. Listen, you got to be careful. And now 2 lives are lost. The person that he hits life is lost, and now his life is gone. So I just say, look, condolences to his family. Condolences to the family of the gentleman that was killed in the wreck, and condolences to his family now. But yeah, it's one of those things, Smitty, that look, high profile means high profile news. Good, bad, right, wrong, and different. I can't really go too far into it because I didn't know him. I can only speculate. But condolences to his family and condolences to the gentleman's family who life was lost from the car he allegedly struck and from the hit and run.
And I wanted to end on what we already talked about going out the door, as we're going to have one other guest next week, Matt Waldman, who another draft analyst who was supposed to be back on in February. He's coming on next week, and Ben and I are going to fine-tune our mock drafts this week, and we're going to get it to you guys next week, 1 week before the draft.
Y'all already know who's going to be pick number 8. So don't even ask. It's going to be. We know. You see how Smitty got off Graham real fast. I want Graham. I'm going to move on. I won't tell. It went Graham, Milton Williams in the offseason. Didn't get Milton, right? I don't know why that.
That's not a draft pick, but go ahead.
I'm just saying that's on you, Dan Morgan. That's on you because he wanted to be a Panther. No one really wants to be a New England Patriot. Stop it. For what? Anyway, go ahead.
I do think Mason Graham will be the pick if he's there. I'm just gonna.
Listen. If Mason Graham is a pick, I'm gonna find a way to I'm gonna find a way to just call. I'm gonna call Smith. Listen. Go ahead, Blaze. Smith is gonna like whatever pick no matter who they can't pick. Smith goes, I like that pick. I like that pick. You can't.
Well, not true. But anyway, there were some picks back in the day I did not like, but we're running out of time. I wanted to give you the opportunity to have the last say with the Nico Imialava situation at Tennessee. Talked a little bit before you came on the podcast. Talked a little bit with Emory. So give us as a former player. Obviously, you played in the league, played in the SEC. Give us your take on Nico and this situation with the NIL and the transfer portal and kind of what this does. Because I agree with what you said earlier, but I also disagree. I think this is the first player we are hearing about.
Yeah.
I don't think this is the first player. It's the first player we're hearing about.
I can agree with that. But here's the thing, Smitty. Maybe. I think he's an easy target. I'm going to tell you why. The young man wanted more money, right? They could look. You see how Tennessee painted him out to be a villain because what he wanted, they didn't want to give it to him. They could have said, listen, because Tennessee could have controlled the narrative, but they didn't. Now, when I say Tennessee, they can't control the national narrative because once it gets out, it's out. It's out. What if I told you that Nico's camp reached out to Tennessee in January about this? See, I didn't come out until the day before the spring game. I don't show up to maybe like a walkthrough because it was on a Friday and then they played on a Saturday. I think it won or whatever. I'm always going to be on the side of the player. Let me tell you why. Smitty, if you had leverage to get more, you're going to use it. And that's at any time in your life. Anytime. I think in this situation, both parties were right. He wanted his money, didn't get it, so he left. They didn't want to give it to him, so they moved on. That's how negotiations are. But when you are Nico at Tennessee, a college football playoff starting quarterback, yes, he had 19 touchdowns and 11 picks, so he wasn't out of this world. They had Joe Milton. What they do with him? They was all right. They had Hendon Hooker. What they do with him? They was good. What did neither one of them do? College football playoff. And I don't think Nico is a better player than Hendon Hooker. It's speculated when it comes to Joe Milton. What I don't like is this. The NCAA had an opportunity to put a lid on this thing. What they do? They took it and they shook it and they let it explode. Now they want the Congress to take all that exploded and put it back in the bottle. No. The only thing the NCAA is good for is bringing down sanctions on players, not coaches. So you mean to tell me an amateur named Nico disrupted the whole status quo of college athletics? I don't believe that. You know why? It's a 72-hour news cycle. Why did Nico really want money? I give you one name, Carson Beck. Carson Beck was at Georgia. It didn't work out. He wanted more money. Georgia said no. Was it national news? No, because he went to Miami and got his money. So my thing is, Nico got in the portal. You know what no one wants to talk about? Smitty, if I told you how many players that right after the spring game was over was told, hey man, we're not going to renew your scholarship, no one talks about that. I do not believe that one player is going to disrupt the entire structure. You know how I know? Remember when Christian McCaffrey and Leonard Fournette, high-profile running backs, both decided not to play in the bowl game? Yeah. You don't hear about that anymore. Why? Because guys still playing it. You're going to have moments, right? You're going to have moments. And let me say this. You're not wrong in how you seeing it, Smitty. You're not wrong. I want to preface that. But I want to tell you this, though. Nico said, hey, man, this is a bold move by me. And you know who didn't protect me in this situation? Tennessee. They said, we're going to move on. No one's bigger than the team. Cool. But why would you give me almost $9 million coming out of high school then? You thought I was going to just sit on that. Okay, granted. because I wanted more money and you didn't want to give it to me, you could have said, listen, we wasn't able to do it. We're gonna part ways. No, this is Tennessee saying the audacity of this young man to not want the 2.4 he already negotiated. That's like Coach Hyper. Is he still working off his original contract? No, he got extensions, and he's gonna get another one. So Smitty, it's the system that has nothing to do with Nico. He's taking advantage of it. Because if there was a system in place, he wouldn't be able to take it. It's like the Wild Wild West. You know why the NCAA don't want to touch it? Because now if they try to make rules, they're going to say, hey, man, we got to go back to when it started. You don't believe me? Why did Reggie Bush got his Heisman then? Because they knew even back then that was nonsense. That's why the Heisman Trophy Committee had to give him his Heisman back. Don't be like, hey, man, you want to do the private ceremony? Hell no. I want to do it public. Y'all publicly embarrass me, so we're going to do it like this. I don't know Nico, but here's the thing. Nico is Polynesian. And for people who don't know, Polynesian culture, whatever the head or the dad or the said, that's it. So if Nico's daddy said, you ain't playing for Tennessee, that's it. So, but guess what? What are they going to say when Nico get his money? Because he's going to get it. And it won't be from nobody in the South, but he'll go back out in the West Coast. But what was your thoughts on this meeting? I mean, it was a big.
I'm just gonna say Bill Belichick and UNC. I'm just saying.
I'm calling it right now. Isn't Bill Belichick's first game against UNC Charlotte?
TCU at home and then at UNC Charlotte.
Listen. If Nico is the starting quarterback for UNC, Smitty want to go to the game, no matter who's playing. But check this out. What if Nico say, I don't want the $4 million, and he go to a UNC Charlotte? You know what Smitty gonna say? That's what I like you, Nico. Listen, it's crazy to talk about these players because they could be repping your team really, really quickly. I mean, who knows?
Yeah. I just think at the end of the day, we need to be clear that the coaches are doing this as well, not just the players. We act like it's just the players flipping and flopping. It's the coaches are doing the same thing.
Did you watch the NCAA tournament? Did you see how many coaches had these players take them people to the tournament? And before the tears could dry off them players' faces, they're already going other places.
I mean, but let's be honest. I mean, and I'll give you an example. Jimbo Fisher had Texas A&M over a barrel for $90 million after the LSU job was open.
And what did he do? What did he do at Texas A&M? Crickets. Exactly. And guess what? This is what you really forgot about.
He really wanted to go to LSU, and Texas A&M said no, but we're going to give you $90 million and
guaranteed. He signed a 10-year
deal,
$75 million fully guaranteed deal. Then he read up. Then he didn't cut the mustard. Then he got like $65 million buyout. That's that oil money, by the way. Texas, a portion of the oil sales in Texas go to Texas, and that's just negotiated. So Texas A&M got money buried in the ground. Anyway, I am not mad at Jimbo. I ain't mad at Lincoln Riley. I ain't mad at none of them. Why are we so mad at the players? Transfer portal supposed to kill college athletics, right? Then this NIL is supposed to kill college athletics, right? So since NIL has been going and we don't know what's going to happen, one player has held out and we have lost our mind, lost our marbles. A guy named Nico, the tallest Polynesian in the world, probably like 6'6", 6'7". All I'm saying is this, Smitty, the more we are around college athletics, we're going to see how corrupt it really is because all they want to do is find somebody to blame it on. Mark Emmert, you know who that is? Commissioner of the NCAA. What does he do? He like the Wizard of Oz. He like the man behind the curtain. He don't do nothing. I'm talking about zilch. So, Nico, wherever you're going to end up at, it's going to be big news because of how you left. But like I say, Smitty, Carson Beck got $4 million to go to Miami. You know what we're going to do in Miami? None. Because Miami has been in the SEC how long now? 20 years. You know how many ACC titles they got? 0. Just had to throw that at Miami. Shout out to my Gators, though, man, winning that 2024, 2025.
Yeah, go ahead.
Listen, if you want to refer to me as 3 for 3. That would be 3 natties in football, 3 natties in basketball. The only team effort to do that. So if you want to say something to me, any one of these fan bases, you can fill out a request form, and I have to review it, and then I'll have my people call your people. Probably won't, but you don't got to like it. What did Jay-Z say? Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. 3 for 3. What has your team done? Okay. Well, we won 27 national championships. How many national championships in basketball? Oh, I thought you were talking football.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I could keep going on because, I mean, the other, NIL thing was the former Florida guys. We know Jalen Rashada, who then went to Georgia, Arizona State. Nico is also from the class of 2023. Malachi Nelson, who was at USC, then went to Boise State, and is no longer there either. And where's
Jalen Rashada? Started off at Miami, then he was supposed to go to Florida, then he went to Arizona State, then he went to Georgia. He's in the portal again.
Yeah, I don't know where he's at right now. But yeah, it's just, I mean, I think the other, if there was a third person on the call with us, who had the devil's advocate, they would say, well, Nico was the 9th best quarterback in the SEC at the end of the day last year. And it's like, yes, he made the playoff, but when he played against really good teams.
Oh, listen, you notice I never ever said Nico was him. I said on his
he's right now talking to UCLA, UNC, and Tulane University. Those are the three teams.
If Tulane could come up with $4 million, former Tulane players would say, wait, what? What? Right? Now, do I think he's going to end up at UCLA? Probably. Because sometimes it's about, he's a California kid. He grew up wanting to either be a Bruin, or a Trojan.
Or a Panther, Deshaun Foster.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Former UCLA Bruin head coach Deshaun. Yeah, love Deshaun. Running down the sideline, doing a little jump. Deshaun was nasty. He was a bad boy.
All right, well, that'll wrap up here for this episode of Winning the Division, episode 35. Remember, we'll have Matt Waldman on next week for our draft preview, final draft preview guru coming in, and then Ben and I will give our first round mock draft after Matt is done. We might do picks 1 through 10. We might do picks 1 through 32. We might just do the first 5.
We'll definitely do one. All I'm going to promise is 1 through 15. 32 might get a little It might get a little shaky.
All right. We'll promise 1 through 15. No doubt. Okay, we'll see if we end up going 32. But remember, you are either winning the division or you are just in the division, as both of our teams hope to be doing more damage than they did last year in the NFC South. For Ben Troupe, Falcons fan in the ATL, I'm Ryan Smith, Carolina Panthers as well here in the North Carolina region. And this is Win the Division, episode number 35. We will see you guys next time.